More trouble in Ann Arbor. The NCAA handing down a 4-year show cause to former Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh for recruiting violations from literally 4 years ago during the pandemic. The new Chargers head coach will be forced to serve a 1-year suspension if hired back at the collegiate level. Now, this is separate from the more serious Connor Stallion sign-stealing accusations for which Harbaugh actually served a 3-game suspension. Michigan is already on a 3-year probation. Rodney, was this a necessary action by the NCAA?
No, he's not in the NCAA anymore. Who cares? Move it along, buddy. All right, he is in the NFL. So I guess in 2028, let's just say hypothetically, he doesn't have any success in the NFL. He wants to go back to college. Sure, address it then. But in the interim, it just doesn't make sense to even put this statement out there and let the world know what his penalty is, because he can't serve it in any way, shape, or form in this time period. But shout out to Jim Harbaugh. You know what I'm saying? He won a national championship. He he made out like a bandit. Got to go to the NFL. He probably saw the writing on the wall and was just like, okay, I'm a slide. Shout out to him.
Yeah,
Strategy.
I feel like the NCAA is just so out of touch. Especially since the pandemic, they have just had L after L after L. They tried to do some stuff with the University of Tennessee. They got sued and lost. Y'all need to just hang it up, because we're tired of y'all and it doesn't make any sense. I think I'm more worried about the new head coach at the University of Michigan, Sharon Moore. He's a black man. He has all of this stuff on him. Now, unfortunately, in the Connor Stallion stuff, he's been accused of deleting text messages, which is not good. However, I'm just like,
we all delete text messages, though. Don't do that. Everybody.
But now there's this black cloud over the program just as he's taken over. And I really hate that for him, most importantly, in all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't even taken into consideration how this will affect him. I think the NCAA, there's just a restructuring or reorganization that needs to take place. Most of the reorganization we're seeing is around conferences, right? Conference realignment. But there needs to be a strategy of tearing down the NCAA as currently constructed and figuring out what we can do to just improve the overall, umbrella of collegiate athletics. It doesn't make sense that we have USC in the same conference as Rutgers, right? 3,000 miles away. There's just the NIL is kind of getting out of control. I was watching this NCAA basketball coverage talking about which teams to look out for. I'm a huge Carolina fan, and we don't have any big men this year. And it was said because we weren't able to pay them because we gave all of our money to RJ Davis. And I'm like, wait a minute, is that how it's being broken down? We don't have money left over to compensate a big? If that's where we are in athletics? And this was Jeff Goodman saying this on his platform. Just goes to show I'm such a nerd. I watch Jeff Goodman. But if that's where we are in the NCAA, we're in some dark times, and it may get a little bit darker before it gets better. But the NCAA is gonna have to be changed and reorganized and restructured.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I can see a future where they just something bigger is created and then they're just left over there. They're just going to die off, because if they haven't made the necessary changes this far, it's just not, they're not going to do it. I just don't feel like they're going to do it.
Well, there's these slow changes, taking place again. The inclusion of the NIL being a possibility for student athletes is a really big deal. But
they were forced to do that, Roddy. The Supreme Court forced them.
So over time, right, as these players and athletes start to be recognized as employees and not amateur athletes, there's gonna have to be a change and a restructuring in the governing body, because they will now be employees of universities, and therefore I don't know that they would necessarily be directly tied in with the NCAA as opposed to individual universities and conferences. There's a change that is on the horizon. It's tangible. You can feel it. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it falls, but there for sure is something that's about to happen. And I hopefully the athletes are the ones that benefit the most from it, and not old white guys.
No, I agree. It's going to be a change, and I think the NCAA is going to be left in the dust. You all let us know what you think down in the comments. Was this a necessary action made by the NCAA against Jim Harbaugh?